In the city of Cairo, a poor fisherman named Judar dropped his net into the water and caught a strange fish. That fish led him to a magician, a hidden treasure, and a ring that could command the jinn. His life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined, and all because he refused to give up on a single cast. Chapter 1. The Fisherman's Family. Judar was the youngest of 3 brothers. His father had been a wealthy merchant who had left a fortune behind when he died. But Judar's older brothers, Salim and Salim, had squandered the entire inheritance within a year. They spent the money on wine, women, and gambling dens. By the time they were done, the family was destitute. Judar had not participated in the spending spree. He had tried to stop his brothers. They had beaten him and thrown him out of the house. He now lived alone in a small hut near the river, supporting himself by fishing. It was a hard life, but it was honest. His brothers, meanwhile, had no skills and no money. They came to Judar regularly, begging for food. Judar, who had a kind heart, always shared what he had. He gave them fish and bread, and never asked for anything in return. His brothers took his generosity for granted. They mocked him behind his back. They called him a fool for working while they relaxed. But Judar did not care. He had learned that a day of honest work was better than a lifetime of dishonest gain. He woke every morning before sunrise, gathered his net, and walked to the river. He cast his line and waited. Some days the fish were plentiful. Some days they were scarce. He accepted both with equal patience. One morning a stranger appeared on the riverbank. He was old, with a white beard that reached his chest, and he was dressed in the robes of a desert traveler. He watched Judar cast his net, and then he walked over and sat down beside him. "Young man," he said, "I have been looking for you for a very long time." Chapter 2. The Magician's Request. The old man introduced himself as a magician from the far west, a man named Al-Maghrabi. He had traveled across deserts and mountains to find Judar. He explained that he had seen Judar in his visions. The fisherman was the only person in the world who could help him recover a treasure that had been hidden for centuries. Judar was skeptical. He was a simple fisherman. He knew nothing about magic or treasure. But the magician was persistent. He offered Judar 100 gold coins just to listen to his plan. Judar had never seen 100 gold coins in his life. He agreed to listen. The treasure, the magician said, was hidden in a cave at the bottom of a lake in the desert. The cave was guarded by powerful jinn who would attack anyone who approached. But Judar was immune to their power. The visions had shown the magician that Judar possessed something rare, a pure heart that the jinn could not corrupt. Judar was not sure he believed any of this, but the magician was offering gold, and Judar's family was starving. He agreed to help. He followed the magician into the desert, walking for 3 days across sand and rock until they reached a lake that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The water was black and still. Nothing grew around its shores. The magician pointed at the lake. "The treasure is down there," he said. "You must dive in. You will find a door at the bottom. Open it. Inside is a cave. In the cave is the treasure. Bring it back to me." Chapter 3. The Lake of Black Water. Judar stood at the edge of the black lake. The water was so still that it looked more like polished obsidian than water. He could not see the bottom. He could not see anything below the surface. He took a deep breath, said a prayer, and dove in. The water was cold, colder than any water he had ever felt. It seemed to reach through his skin and grip his bones. He swam downward, deeper and deeper, his lungs burning. The light from the surface faded until he was swimming in absolute darkness. Then he saw it. A door, a brass door set into the floor of the lake, its surface covered in strange symbols that glowed with their own light. Judar grabbed the handle and pulled. The door opened. A rush of air bubbles exploded from inside. Judar swam through the doorway and found himself in an air pocket, a cave beneath the lake, filled with breathable air. He stood up, dripping, and looked round. The cave was lit by torches that burned without fuel. The walls were covered in gold. The floor was paved with silver. And in the center of the cave, on a stone pedestal, sat a ring. A simple iron ring, unadorned, ordinary-looking, the treasure the magician had sent him to find. Judar picked up the ring. It was heavier than it looked. He slipped it onto his finger, and immediately he felt a presence. A voice spoke in his mind. "Master, I am the jinni of the ring. What is your command?" Judar was too shocked to speak. Chapter 4. The Jinni of the Ring. The jinni of the ring was invisible, but Judar could feel its presence like a warmth against his skin. It spoke again. "I have been bound to this ring for 1,000 years. Whoever wears it is my master. Command me, and I will obey." Judar's mind raced. He had come to retrieve the ring for the magician. But now that he held it, he understood its power. This ring could change his life. It could feed his family forever. It could lift him out of poverty with a single wish. But the magician had helped him. The magician had guided him here. Judar was an honest man. He could not steal from someone who had trusted him. He swam back up through the black water, still wearing the ring, and emerged at the shore where the magician was waiting. The magician's face lit up when he saw the ring on Judar's finger. "You found it," he cried. "Give it to me." Judar hesitated. He had only worn the ring for a few minutes, but he already felt attached to it. He asked the magician what the ring did. The magician told him the truth. The ring could command the jinn. It could grant wishes. It could make its wearer the most powerful person in the world. And then the magician's face changed. He stopped pretending to be kind. He drew a knife and ordered Judar to hand over the ring. Judar, frightened, turned and ran. He ran through the desert with the magician chasing him, the ring still on his finger. Chapter 5. The First Wish. Judar ran until he could run no more. He collapsed behind a sand dune, gasping for air. The magician was nowhere in sight. He looked at the ring on his finger. It glowed faintly in the fading light. He spoke to the jinni. "I wish to go home, to Cairo." Immediately the world twisted. The sand and sky blurred together. And then Judar was standing in the middle of his village, outside his own small hut, as if he had never left. He looked at the ring in amazement. The jinni had brought him home in the blink of an eye. He walked inside his hut. He sat down on his mat and examined the ring. It was simple and plain. Nobody would guess its power. He decided to keep it a secret. If his brothers knew about it, they would try to take it. If the authorities knew, they would arrest him. The ring was a burden as much as a gift, but he could not ignore its power. His family was starving. His brothers were begging in the streets. He wished for food. A feast appeared on his table. He wished for gold. A pile of coins materialized in the corner. He wished for new clothes for his nephews. They appeared folded neatly. as if they had been tailored that morning. Judor was careful. He did not wish for a palace. He did not wish to be king. He wished only for what he needed, nothing more. He had learned that sudden wealth could destroy a man as easily as sudden poverty. Chapter 6. The brothers' greed. Judah's brothers noticed the changes immediately. Fresh food on the table, gold coins in the corner, new clothes on the children. They demanded to know where it had come from. Judar tried to hide the truth. He said he had found work as a merchant. His brothers did not believe him. They searched his hut. They found the ring. Judah tried to explain. His brothers grabbed him. They tried to pull the ring off his finger. It would not come off. They beat him. They tied him up. They threatened to kill him. Judah called the jinni. The jinni threw his brothers across the room and pinned them to the wall. Judah looked at his brothers with sadness. He had loved them. He had tried to help them. They had repaid him with violence. He ordered the jinni to release them. He told them that the ring was his and would never be theirs. He offered them a deal. They could live with him in peace, share his wealth, and be a family again, or they could leave and never return. His brothers chose to stay, but their greed had not vanished. It had only gone underground. They smiled at Judah and pretended to be grateful, but in their hearts they were already planning how to take the ring for themselves. Chapter 7. The Magician's Return. The magician had not given up. He had spent months searching for Judor. He had consulted his oracles. He had read the smoke and the stars. And finally he found the fisherman again, living in Cairo, rich and comfortable, wearing the ring that should have been his. The magician disguised himself as a traveling holy man. He arrived at Judah's house and asked for shelter. Judah, who was kind to strangers, invited him inside. The magician watched Judah carefully. He noted where Judah kept the ring. He noted how icily Judah used its power. The magician waited until Judah fell asleep that night. He crept to Judah's bedside and reached for the ring, but Judah woke up. He grabbed the magician's wrist. The two men struggled. The magician pulled out his knife, but Judor was faster. He called the jinni. The jinni appeared, invisible but powerful. It lifted the magician into the air and held him there. Judor asked the magician why he had come. The magician confessed everything. He had known about the ring for decades. He had spent years searching for the one person who could retrieve it. He had planned to kill Judor as soon as the ring was in his hands. Judor could have killed the magician. The jinni was waiting for the order, but Judor could not bring himself to do it. He ordered the jinni to take the magician back to his own country and leave him there. The magician was gone in an instant. Judor never saw him again. Chapter 8. The Poison Plot. Judah's brothers had grown more resentful with each passing day. They watched Judah use the ring to provide for the family. They watched him give away food and gold to the poor. They watched him refuse to use the ring to make himself king. They thought he was wasting its power. Salim, the eldest, came up with a plan. He would poison Judah's food. When Judah was dead, Salim would take the ring. The ring would not come off a living man's finger, but it would come off a dead man's. Salim mixed poison into Judor's evening meal and served it to him with a smile. Judor ate the meal. An hour later, he was dead. His brothers found the ring on his finger. They pulled it off easily. Salim put it on his own hand. He called the jinni. The jinni appeared. Salim's first command was to make him the richest man in Cairo. The jinni obeyed. Gold and jewels filled the room. Salim's second command was to make him the governor of the city. The jinni obeyed. Salim was appointed governor within the hour, but the jinni was bound to serve whoever wore the ring. It did not care about the wearer's character. It obeyed orders without judgment. And Salim's orders grew more cruel and more dangerous with each passing day. Chapter 9. The Tyrant's Fall. Salim became a tyrant. He taxed the poor. He imprisoned his enemies. He took whatever he wanted. The people of Cairo grew to hate him, but they could not touch him, because the jinni protected him. His younger brother, the second Salim, grew jealous. He wanted the ring for himself. He plotted to kill his brother the same way they had killed Judar. He poisoned Salim's wine. Salim drank it. He fell to the floor, dying. But before he died, he called the jinni and ordered it to kill his brother. The jinni obeyed. Both brothers died within minutes of each other, their bodies lying on the floor of the palace that Judar had never wanted. The ring lay between them, unclaimed. The jinni waited for a new master. The servants found the bodies in the morning. The palace was in chaos. Nobody knew who had been wearing the ring or what it did. One of the servants picked it up, felt its strange weight, and put it in his pocket. He sold it to a jeweler for a few coins. The jeweler, who had no idea what it was, melted it down for scrap. The ring that could command the jinn was destroyed, and the jinni that had served it vanished back into the darkness from which it had come. Chapter 10. The People's Justice. The people of Cairo were free of their tyrant. They gathered in the square and celebrated. They threw open the prison gates. They returned the stolen goods to their owners. They elected a new governor, a wise old man who would serve the city faithfully for decades. The story of Judar spread through Cairo. The fisherman who had found a ring of power and used it only to help others. His brothers who had killed him for greed and died by each other's hands. The jinni who had served good masters and bad masters with equal obedience. The people built a small monument to Judar near the river where he had fished. It was a simple stone with his name carved into it. Fishermen left flowers at its base. Mothers told their children the story of the kind-hearted fisherman who had been given ultimate power and chosen to use it gently. Judar had not wanted to be a king. He had not wanted to be rich. He had wanted only to feed his family and live in peace. In the end, that simple wish was the thing that made him truly powerful, because he had the ring and he did not let it change him. That was a kind of strength that few people possessed. Chapter 11. The Genie's Tale. After the ring was destroyed, the genie that had been bound to it appeared one last time. It manifested itself in the marketplace of Cairo, visible to all. The people screamed and ran, but the genie did not attack. It spoke in a voice that carried across the entire square. "I have been bound to that ring for 1,000 years," it said. "I have served kings and beggars, wise men and fools. I have granted wishes that built empires and wishes that destroyed them. The fisherman Judar was the best of my masters. He asked for nothing but enough. He wanted power only to help, never to hurt. I served him with joy. The genie bowed its head. Now I am free. The ring is gone. The bond is broken. I will return to the world of jinn from which I was taken so long ago. But before I go, I want you to remember Judar. Remember the fisherman who had the power to command a jinni and chose to be kind instead of greedy." The jinni dissolved into smoke and vanished. The people of Cairo stood in silence, and then, slowly, They began to clap. Chapter 12. What endures? The ring was gone. The jinni was gone. Judar was dead. But his story lived on. Fishermen told it to their sons as they cast their nets. Mothers told it to their daughters as they wove and sewed. The story spread from Cairo to the rest of Egypt, and from Egypt to the rest of the world. It was told in Baghdad and Damascus and Samarkand. It was told in the courts of kings and the huts of peasants. The story of Judar the Fisherman was a simple one. A poor man found a ring of power. He used it to help his family and his community. He refused to become a tyrant. He died at the hands of greedy brothers, but his spirit lived on in the memories of the people he had helped. The tale was told to remind everyone who heard it that power is not measured by how much you have, but by how you use what you have. Judar had the power to command the jinn. He used it to buy bread for the hungry. In a world full of men who wanted to be kings, Judar just wanted to be a good man. And in the end, that was the most powerful thing of all. The end.